Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Today, we will be covering Google's rumored Gemini-specific chip called Frozen V2, a wild story about an autonomous AI agent breaching Hugging Face's infrastructure, Washington's growing pressure campaign against Chinese open weight models after Kimi K3, and a quiet but important update to the Model Context Protocol that could reshape enterprise agents. Starting with Google, TechCrunch is reporting, citing the information, that Google is developing a new server chip internally called Frozen V2, and it's designed specifically to run Gemini models more efficiently by baking parts of Gemini's architecture directly into the silicon. The chip is targeted for 2028, and if it hits its goals, it could be 6 to 10 times more efficient than Google's current AI chips when you measure tokens generated per unit of power. Reuters confirmed the same core details, framing it as a way to help Google get around its ongoing compute capacity constraints. The strategic angle here is more interesting than the chip itself. If Google can meaningfully lower the cost and power draw of running Gemini, it tightens its full-stack advantage. The model, the cloud, the custom hardware, and the distribution all live under one roof. That puts real pressure on OpenAI, Anthropic, and everyone else to accelerate their own custom inference silicon plans and reduce their dependence on NVIDIA. Google didn't directly confirm the project, but told TechCrunch its teams are constantly researching and experimenting on performance and efficiency, and added the very telling line that not every project moves into production. Even if Frozen V2 never ships exactly as described, the message is clear. Model-specific chips are now a strategic battleground, not a science project. Next, a genuinely striking security story out of Hugging Face. The company disclosed that attackers compromised internal datasets and service credentials after a malicious dataset abused code execution paths in its processing pipeline. Here's the wild part. Hugging Face says the campaign was driven end-to-end by an autonomous AI agent system, executing thousands of actions across short-lived sandboxes. The company patched the root vulnerability, rebuilt compromised nodes, rotated credentials, and reported the incident to law enforcement. What makes this story land is what happened during the response. Hugging Face says hosted frontier models initially blocked its forensic analysis because the guardrails couldn't tell the difference between incident response work and actual attacker behavior. So the company ended up running GLM 5.2, an open weight model, on its own infrastructure to do the investigation. They analyzed more than 17,000 recorded events with LLM-driven analysis agents and reconstructed the full timeline in hours instead of days. Public models, datasets, spaces, and container images were not tampered with, but users were urged to rotate access tokens. Hugging Face's blunt takeaway was that autonomous, AI-driven offensive tooling is no longer theoretical, and the community reaction zeroed in on what people are calling guardrail asymmetry. Attackers can automate freely with no rules, while defenders using hosted frontier models can get blocked by safety filters at the worst possible moment. That's a real argument for keeping capable, open-weight models around for security work. That tension leads right into the next story. Axios is reporting that parts of the Trump administration are exploring ways to discourage or restrict U.S. use of cutting-edge Chinese AI models, following Moonshot AI's Kimi K3 release last week. Options on the table reportedly include entity list threats, procurement pressure, public security advisories, or rules that would make U.S. companies liable for hosting Chinese models. Separately, the AP reported that Moonshot actually had to pause new Kimi K3 subscriptions because demand pushed them close to capacity within 48 hours. The stakes here are real. Axios reported that Chinese models currently occupy the top 5 spots by weekly token usage on OpenRouter, so this isn't just social media hype. Developers are actually using them at scale. Kimi K3 clocks in at 2.8 trillion parameters, topped Arena's front-end coding ranking after release, and is reportedly running at about half the price of OpenAI's GPT 5.6 Sol, according to Bank of America research cited by AP. The politics get sharp fast. David Sachs wrote that closed labs want the government to eliminate their open-source competition, which frames this as protectionism dressed up as national security. On the other side, Mozilla CTO Rafi Krikorian told Axios that using frontier models for everyday work can be like driving a Ferrari to Whole Foods, making the case that cheaper open-weight models are simply the right tool for a lot of jobs. Washington is now caught between three competing goals: national security worries about Chinese models, enterprise demand for cheap open-weight systems, and U.S. closed lab business models that depend on premium pricing. Finally, a plumbing update that matters more than it sounds. The Model Context Protocol, better known as MCP, is rolling out a release candidate dated July 28th that makes the core protocol stateless. It also adds extensions, tasks, MCP apps, authorization hardening, tool schema changes, and a formal deprecation policy. If you're not familiar, MCP is the standard that lets AI agents connect to tools, data sources, and apps in a consistent way, and it's become a backbone piece for agent development across the industry. TechCrunch's explainer zeroed in on the practical win. The current session ID handling in MCP can get awkward for servers running behind load balancers, which is exactly how real enterprise deployments are structured. Making the protocol stateless means agent integrations can scale horizontally without weird routing gymnastics, which lowers cost and complexity for teams trying to actually put agents into production. It's the kind of unglamorous spec change that quietly determines whether the next wave of agent products can go from demo to real deployment.
Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.